everything in this world has a klipa, a shell. All of the negative energies that are going on in the world, all of these are a type of shell. Now, you never see a person filling his mouth with nutshells. What does a person do with a nut, with a fruit? He peels it, he cracks the shell, and he eats the fruit inside. And that's really the whole purpose of a Jew, the whole year, to see where he has a shell that he has to crack, something that is negative, a negative influence that he has to stay away from, so that he could get to the fruit, which is the Torah. Because the Torah cannot be eaten together with the shells.
Today's episode is dedicated in memory of Bechor ben Rachel.
Baruchim Abim, and welcome to Torah Talks Chazaq's program with special guests. We have with us all the way from Bnei Brak, all the way from Eretz Yisrael, Rabbi Usher Yisroel Lissauer, the Mevaksh Hashem Rebbe Baruch Haba. Welcome. Chazdei Hashem. And we're very excited to speak about preparing for Rosh Hashanah. But before we get to the exciting topics, we get a little bit background about the Rebbe and the great work you're involved with.
Siyata D'Shmaya. So I was born and raised in Manhattan, originally to Mishpachas Elbaz. My real name is Usher Elbaz.
Oh, wow.
That's my real name. And Elbaz is the same family as Abu Chatzira. I also spoke about it with Rabbi David Shlita and Rabbi Baful. I have a good friend, Rabbi Yitzchak, one of my best friends in Tzfas, Rabbi Yitzchak Abu Chatzira, Einik of the Baba Chaki. So I got a little bit of the history around. There wasn't more than one Elbaz Mishpacha in Morocco. So all of the Elbaz Mishpacha are related to Abu Chatzira.
Wow.
Because Reb Shmuel Abu Chatzira, the first one that came on the carpet, so his name was Reb Shmuel Elbaz before the Nes. Abu Chatzira means Abu Chatzira, the father, like the master of the carpet. When he had his Nes, so then that's when they changed their name.
Wow, amazing.
But they were all Rabbanim. I also saw a sefer that Oiz Vahada put out on Shas, Sugyas, from Reb Shmuel bin Elbaz, also from Morocco. So it's probably one of my zaydas. I mean,
Wow.
I don't have so much ways to check the yichus, because even though my grandmother is from, but she didn't come with any papers from Morocco. Right? Very little memories. She barely knows who her grandfather was, because her father was very, very old when she was born. She was born when her father was about 75 years old.
Wow.
So that's it's all history. But at least and my grandfather passed away young, so it's not really too much to be mevar, but it definitely has a connection.
So we see that Baruch Hashem, the rabbi is now in Bnei Brak, and Mevaksh Hashem. How did that happen from being and growing up in Manhattan to Baruch Hashem being a Mechazik Yidden today?
Yeah. So I think that the question is the answer. Dainu, when I was growing up, I basically went through all of the steps from Aleph till Taf. So going through all of these steps gave me the experience to really be able to help people on all stages along the way. And I think that's what made Mevaksh Hashem what it is.
Was there a moment, was there a Rav, a Rebbe, a Chiddush, a Sefer that lightened that flame?
For sure. I'll tell you, when I was growing up, I really started off in public school. I went to Park East Preschool. My parents were
This
living in
gives
Manhattan.
us so much chizuk, just for the record. This gives us so much chizuk for Chazaq. This is what we do. So
my father was part of the East Side Manhattan Sephardic community of Rabbi Ben Shimol. Rabbi Ben Shimol, the Sephardic rabbi over there, he was my sandik, Chashvedayin, a big tzaddik. And that's what, but the bris was at my father's house. There was nothing special. My father had a time where he made a lot of money in the stock market, and he was very matzliach. Then he lost his money, he moved to Roosevelt Island. He went to Roosevelt Island, and in Roosevelt Island, there's no Jewish school, so there's just a public school, and it was barely a Chabad that was operating maybe with 1 million a year, maybe on Yom Kippur, like mamish, almost nothing. They had peulas, for Shabbos, small things, meals, but nothing really official then. And there was a conservative temple. Hashem should save us from these people. And that's how it was. So there was no choice. So when I was little, I would go because I didn't really know to distinguish. I just knew it was Yiddish, it was Judaism, and that's what pulled me in. But I saw that when my father would daven, it was very interesting, even though my father did not grow up necessarily religious. It means that his mother was religious, but you know how it was in Israel, that they sent them to the kibbutzim and they tried to do everything to make them not religious. So my father was also a victim of that, like the Yaldei Morocco and these types of things. He was in that time. So my father really did have a very, very secular type of education. But when he would daven, it was very interesting that he used to shuckle, he used to sway like this. And that's what I also did. And people remember me when I was a little kid, Israelis over there on Roosevelt Island, the few Israelis that are there that used to go, they remember how I used to just like mama shuckle like a yeshiva bacher when I was 6 or 7 years old. They didn't know where that came to, like a kid growing up in a conservative environment. My father was, you could call, lightly Masorti with the little knowledge that he had about Yiddishkeit, but he would make Kiddush, he would, small things. And that was until I became 12 years old. When I became 12 years old, my father sent me to Park East Day School. Why? Because he wanted me to learn Hebrew. I have a lot of family in Eretz Yisrael, cousins, uncles, aunts. He wanted me to know Hebrew. He said, my mother is an American, mother comes from America, and she does know basic Hebrew, but nothing special, and it's very hard for her to communicate. He didn't want me to be in the same position. He wanted me to go to the army and to be able to, whatever, just like he did, kids. So what happened was, he sent me to this Park East, and right as I arrived, I felt like I came to the right place. I came to my destination, and I felt like the davening, everything, I just like full of light, full of that's what I was looking for, because I have things that I wrote when I was a little kid. It was mamash like Avram Avinu Ikes Boyer. Avram Avinu recognized Hashem when he was 3 years old.
Right.
So I recognized Hashem Miyom Amdi Al Daiti. From when I became conscious, I recognized that the world must have a creator. What brought me to this machshava, to this thought? When I was in second grade, I have a notebook from second grade. I used to draw, and I used to write on my drawings all types of things. So one of the pages, I still have at my father's house, is like a guy with an open mouth, and in his mouth he has like this swirly black and white swirl, and it says forever. Whenever I think about forever, I think I'm going crazy. I just couldn't understand what is this noiseki erer shemecha. When I see your shemayim, masetz beisecho, the work of your fingers, the moon and the stars that you made. Then I realize, what is a person that you should even mention him? And a person that Hashem should even be Messiachas, that Hashem should even look at him. But that's the Metzias, that's the fact that Hashem does look at us, and He created the whole world for us. And the answer was when I heard Ein Sof. Hashem, He is Ein Sof Baruch Hu. He's forever. That is forever. That is never ending. That is unlimited. That is Hashem. So that concept, that's Hashem. Oh, and now there's explanation. What is Hashem? How does Hashem relate to us? And that's what Yiddishkeit gave me. And it's not like I didn't look into other things. I was very curious. I had Muslim friends, I had Christian friends, and I would just like giggle at what they were saying, because I knew that the source for everything that they were talking about was in the Torah. But I just didn't know how to get to that Torah. I didn't have anyone to take me there. At the conservative temple, they would water it down so much that I knew that I didn't have anybody to ask. I didn't have who to talk to. In Park East, I had people that had answers to my questions. And I was just, from the first day, I would say, addicted to Yiddishkeit. I just wanted to daven and to learn, and every Mishnah, every Aleph base, every Nekuda. I didn't know that every Nekuda has a deeper meaning, that a Kamatz means this, and a Pasach means that, and Kabbalah, and Soidus HaTorah. I just knew that it was a part of my neshama. It had something to do with me. And by me, it was with a special chavivis, with a special
love.
Oh.
What was the next step after that? Eretz Yisrael?
So what happened over there was I wanted to put on tzitzis right away. I found the tzitzis and I asked the principal, can I please, Mrs. Etcher, I said, can I please take this tzitzis? She said, yeah, okay. And I just put on the tzitzis and I started going with tzitzis. But then I saw that my father was becoming hostile to because when I was 12 years old, I went to the Chabad Rabbi to Rosh Hashanah to a shul in Queens across the bridge, close to Roosevelt Island in the Tchum. And I didn't want to turn off the lights when I came home. So he's like, who told you that? So I said, that's what I heard from the yeshiva Bachrim. He said, who's Bachrim? What Bachrim? Who? yeah, that we went with Yeshiva Bacham on the way, and they told me that's Rosh Hashanah, it's like Shabbos, and Shabbos also, I didn't know. So my father was like, you're never going with them again. He got very hostile, like, they're brainwashing you and this and that. And that's how it was. My bar mitzvah was at the koisel. My father told me at the koisel, be careful, these religious people are going to brainwash you. He saw, but I was already making brachas. I was already religious. My father didn't understand what my goal was, what I was looking towards, because I was ashamed to tell him about it, because I knew that was something that he wasn't so enthusiastic about. And it's not his fault. This was the chinuch, this is the education that he got in Eretz Yisrael. That's 100%. The education that they gave him in the kibbutz, and he tells it to me today. He tells me, Usher, I never knew that you would become a rabbi. I never knew that you would have a profession. I never knew that you would actually get to somewhere in your life as a religious Jew. Now I see that who are all the volunteers in Eretz Yisrael, the Charedim, the religious, the Orthodox, who are all of the people that are doing special things in the world. These are the Charedim. And I didn't know that when I was a kid. They taught us that somebody that's Charedi is just like an animal. He's not a person, and we have nothing to talk about with him. That was their fear of Yiddishkeit.
Wow. So what was the next step? I know the Rebbe is very much involved today with Kiruv and getting kids that are on the streets to give them chizuk, give them inspiration. How did that all start?
So all of this started really when I got to the Nanash Rebbe. I continued.
Which Rebbe?
Nanash Rav in Riverdale. He's the Rebbe of Riverdale. He has a shtibo in Riverdale. What happened was when I was about 14 years old, I was in Heschel High School. That's where I continued. I wanted to go to a strong high school, but my parents, they put me there. Okay, so I was there, and I was one of the big advocates of the Orthodox Minyan. I established a Mincha Minyan over there, and I established a new musag that there's a guy in school that doesn't talk to girls, doesn't hang around girls, have nothing to do with girls. And I used to tell the girls in Heschel that learned with me, remember, I used to say, please don't get offended, I don't look at you. That's a part of the Torah. You see, Kriya Shema v'lo yisasu achei levavchem v'achei einechem, asher atem zoynim achareim. I would just like to say a word of the Skalan Rebbe, that's how Li'li Nishmasai, because it was very close to Skalan Rebbe, Zechon Levuch, his father. And when I just say his name, you see this light over here. The people on the...
I see the rabbi is very enlightened just saying the name, yeah.
Yeah, so that was what his face looked like. That was what I saw on his face. And his son, Shai Yankel, I had a bach that I saved I had a yeshiva boy that I saved from the streets in Bnei Brak that I put into his yeshiva in Miran. I found him with long hair, without a yarmulke. My Rebbitzin told me in Yiddish, he's a goyish boy. My Rebbitzin's a Vizhnitzer girl from a Vizhnitzer family. Yeah. Einikul of the Taz and the Bach. And Taz and the Mal B'Kodesh, right? Because the Bach was the Shver. He was his father-in-law. And she told me that I told him he's not a goy, he's a Hasidic boy. And I said, Bucha Kimaher. I said, like in Yiddish. I started speaking to him in Yiddish and he responded in Hebrew. And my Rebbitzin, she didn't believe it. And he got into the Skalani Yeshiva in Miran, and when I went to visit the Skalani Rebbe Zechon Levuch Shai Yankel, I knew that he was called the head of the Moistis, but what would he have to do with the institution Eretz Yisrael in Montreal? He had his own kehillah there. And I told him that this and this bacher, I told him his family name. He said, yeah, his father's name is this and that, and this was his situation, and he knew everything that was going on. That's how Kiruv was important to him. And it just so he said, V'lo sasu, don't stray, achei levavchem v'achei einechem, asher atem zoynim achareim, after your heart, after your eyes, that you stray after, that you go after, that you do mistakes after. So he said, what's zoynim? Zoynim means straying, and it also means mezoinis. It's a lashon of parnasa. It means sustainment, liveliness. So he said, Asher atem zoynim achareim, that if you keep your eyes holy, then you'll have parnasa, you'll have everything that you need. Achareim, after you keep your eyes, Asher atem zoynim achareim, you'll see that you don't have any chesed in parnasa.
Beautiful.
And Hashem made me be here when his father passed away. Hashem let me daven with his father the last 2 months of his life, and to get a bracha for my bismadish and for my son. That was my first son that was born then. And to be by his levaya 2 months or 3 months later. And to be by the levaya of the Rebbe. It's very hard to get over this. This is a special connection. But anyway,
So in high school.
right. So when I got through a friend to the Nanush Rebbe in Riverdale. We went to him for Simchas Torah, and the Nanush Rebbe Shlita, my Rabbi Avum Mordechai Lissauer Shlita. I say his name just so people should know who he is, to know how to get to him. Lissauer. So I got to him, and basically I became a ben bais by him. He saw me with this like thirst to Yiddishkeit, and I told him what I was going through at home. I told him that my father's very opposite of enthusiastic about me being religious and about me going with tzitzis and about me keeping Shabbos, and there were a lot of obstacles along the way. I was in Juilliard pre-college for guitar, and that was on Shabbos, and I had big milchamas to get out of there. I wanted to get out of there almost from the first day, but it took me a lot of time to get the guts just to tell my father I'm not going anymore. And I had a lot of
obstacles and challenges.
I had also a lot of tricks that I did not to do a malacha deraisa, like writing with the other hand, even though it's not a real shinui. But I saw in one of the Rishonim that there is a man da'amar. I think it's even a man da'amar in the Gemara that writing with the other hand could be a type of shinui, and it's not a malacha deraisa, but. And the teacher asked me, "Are you dyslexic?" So I told him, "No, I'm religious." So he said, "I'm also religious, so I understand you." And I explained to him that we're not allowed to write on Shabbos, and it was like writing notes, so it's even easier because it wasn't words. You're writing notes, it's symbols, it's whatever. But it's also not pashut because if it has a meaning, it's ksiva. Anyway, and then we were like, I would go through the metro, so I would have to swipe the metro card. So what would I do? Even though the last Mishnah in Peah says that you're not allowed to make yourself look disabled, but the Gemara says G'dayla Aver Lishma. So I used to make my hand shake like I couldn't swipe the card, and that would be not Amir L'Nachri because I didn't tell the goy anything. I just do this, and then I always had after a few minutes a goy come over and just swipe it for me. These were the types of things that I would do, and I would tell you that just as I touched the guitar, which was muktzah, be'etzem, at least Mikra Adin, so I would cry. I just cry. And the whole way I would say Mishnayos Baal Peh. That was my, so that was my battle, just like breaking free.
But you should know this gives chizuk to so many people because we deal with so many youngsters that are going through a similar challenge.
And that's what I want to say. I want to speak to anyone that's going through this, what I went through. Don't give up. Hashem is going to give you better times, and you're going to see that everything that you get to in Torah, in Yerushalayim, it's all going to be in the merit of the things that you went through in the harder times when things were darker.
100%. So the Rebbes, the Rabbanim are the ones that helped the rabbi get to where you were in Bnei Brak.
Yeah, so the Nanush Rebbe put me into yeshiva. It was really, he tried to get me into yeshiva in Monsey. He didn't want to take about tshuva. He wanted to get me into regular yeshiva. So there was in the end, there was a Rabbi Binyamin Strauss in Lakewood, a huge tzaddik. He has an organization to place boys in yeshivas. And he has an organization that's called Or Nasan. And he got me into Rabbi Moshe Pizansky's yeshiva in Lakewood. I learned there. I was a Baal Tshuva boy in a regular yeshiva. He paid for chavrusas around the clock. And that's what got me up to our yeshivish learning level from nothing, like almost nothing, like very basic, almost less than basic Gemara skills to learning sugyas, be'iyun, and getting decent grades on tests in my shir, in Shir Gimel Yeshiva Ktana, Shir Beis Shir Gimel Yeshiva Ktana. And then after that, I was there for about a year and a half, something like that. After Lakewood, I moved on to Eretz Yisrael, to Yeshivas Chazan Nochem, by a goin of Tzikat Shlita. It's a Kalal Chassidish Yeshiva. That means all types of Chassidus in Sem there. And it's half of it, half Yiddish. That means that like the learning is more Litvish and there's more Balbatish, so it's like the learning was more of it. But the Shiurim were all in Yiddish. And a lot of Amshanova boys were there, Bial, all the types of Majits. That was a time that those Hasidus in Alexander didn't have yeshivas, so they would send over there. So that was very good for me to get exposed to all the types of Hasidus and to be together with regular boys that had She'ifas and Rachnias, a very, very high level of Yeshamayim. And I ended up getting engaged to my Chavrusas First cousin.
Wow.
Baruch Hashem, yeah.
Very, 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 very inspiring
And
to
how
hear.
was this? How did this happen? They heard my drasha in Yiddish at his Sheva Brachas, and my Rebbitzins family thought that I was an Azurov's son, and I'm listening. I'm like, oh, Chashva boy from America, Rebbe's son. They thought they didn't know how they were going to get this type of shidduch, and then when they heard that I came from such a family and this and that, the Maisa, it ended up working out. It's Tiyata D'Shmaya.
Wow. So the Rav adopted the name Lissauer from the Nana
Yeah, because when I came to learn yeshiva over there, it would be very weird for me to be a bacher speaking Yiddish already because I was living in his house and like I learned Yiddish by him. I was mamish ben bayis, had a room over there, everything, just like a kid. It's like his own son. So I couldn't come with a Sephardi name. So as it was going up by him, so he gave me the idea to take on the name Lissauer.
Very, very, very inspiring. So Rabbi, as we were preparing for Rosh Hashanah, what should the focus be? We're getting ready for Rosh Hashanah. What should one mind?
So let's just take the word Rosh Hashanah. We'll make it simple, because the real Torah is simple. Rosh is the head. Hashanah is the year. Rosh Hashanah is the head of the year. Now, what do people say when they do all types of safety precautions? Protect your head. In any case,
Put on a helmet.
Put on a helmet. Protect your head, because the head is the most important part of a person. The Gemara says that if the krum of the moyach is nistak, then the behemoth is a treifa, he's not going to live. If the small skin that's around the brain has a hole, then there's nothing to do with the behemoth. If the skull is pierced, then it could be that there's no brain damage. But once the damage gets to the brain or things around the brain, then there's already a chazaka. That means a likeliness for something to be very, very wrong, and that's why the behemoth would not be kosher in that matziv. So for us to be ksherim, to be tzaddikim, to be good, we have to be careful about our heads. We have to be careful about what goes into our heads, what we're putting into our heads, what we're feeding for our kids. And that would be a good time to speak about today's innovation of internet that has many benefits in some ways, but in other ways there are such terrible dangers that if I would tell you that you have a way to get a beautiful diamond, but you have to go through terrible, dangerous pits and cliffs to get there, I don't think that most people that would see, or walk on a very tight string between two pits that are like, maybe a mile deep, I don't think that people would be ready to do such a thing, even for a diamond. So we have to really think about what are we letting our kids see. And a lot of parents think that, we put on a filter on the internet. Right, you put on a filter, but you don't know how smart your kid is, and you don't know that he's a computer technician and he's better than the hackers in China at getting at the things that he wants to see. So we have to be careful about what we put into our houses, what we let our hands touch. And if we are careful about what goes into our heads and what we're thinking and our way of thinking, then that would be the first step in getting ourselves into a situation where Hashem will give us a good year, because everything that happens to us throughout the whole year is predetermined. Rosh Hashanah. Every extra step that we take, every time that we put our hand into our pocket and we don't find our keys, everything that happens to a person, and so Kol Shekan, even more, when we're talking about things that are really agmastefish, that really bring to a true agmastefish, to a true distress, all of these things are predetermined on Rosh Hashanah. And when big tzaddikim, big rabbanim used to go through hardships throughout the year, they would all say, it's all about Rosh Hashanah, the Chazon Ish, it's all about Rosh Hashanah, it's all from Rosh Hashanah, the Gra, there's stories about the Gra, that the whole year was busy with Rosh Hashanah. And the rabbi just mentioned earlier, a beautiful word, that somebody asked, when we was...
How was your Rosh Hashanah, they asked. And he's like, we'll see how the year goes. That's how my Rosh Hashanah is.
That's it. So that's really the focus. The focus is on, I said at Drasha, by my Shalom Tinek, and Kal Lev Nefesh, I told them that if we would know last year what type of year it would be this year, then I think that we would have a different El totally.
Yeah, we would have prepared more. What wouldn't we have done?
I think all the Ashkenazim would say Slichas by the
Sfardim for El.
For El.
So
I did.
Oh, yeah?
I tried to encourage people.
So Rosh Hashanah is a very inspiring time. Many people get a lot of chizuk, a lot of inspiration, the tefillah, the prayers, and the sudot, and the simanim. How do we take that inspiration and keep it going for the entire year? How do we keep the motivation going?
So I think that we have to always know that even though things are predetermined, but the Gemara says in Rosh Hashanah that if you have tefillas rabbim, a tefillah, that people daven together, people pray together, so then they could even take a din that was sealed on Yom Kippur and they could change it. Tshuva, tefillah, tzedakah, mavin, esrei, gzeira. That's also the whole year. If a person does tshuva, if he gives tzedakah tatzim mavis, it could be that mavis was decreed upon a person, and if he's going to give tzedakah, for sure for Chazaq, for people that do Hatzalas Nefashis, that save Jewish lives, before the soul is more important than the body by us. That's how it goes in Yiddishkeit. That's what the Torah tells us. Nishmat Moed Nafshi Seichem, the Ramban says it goes on the Neshama. So we should be focusing on the things that could help us to get away from these bad decrees and immerse ourselves in Torah, immerse ourselves in spiritual growth. And when Hashem sees that our future plans are truly to be better, so a lot of times Hashem could change the direction in the GPS that is destined for us, so that we could really achieve a good year and to achieve all the blessings that we need.
Amen. So making Rosh Hashanah more meaningful for the entire family, with a specific emphasis on children.
Right. So I'll just tell the story again that I told the rabbi before. I had this Baal Tshuva in Bnei Brak, so I have a kehillah. Just like to give a little bit of background, I have a kehillah and a shul in Bnei Brak. I also have a koil chatzot. Koil chatzot, we learn chatzos halaylo, seidus haTorah. We learn Torah's Harizal. We're talking about Rabbanim that already have a het Torah for sure. Older Rabbanim that learn by me, and we say Kitikin chatzos over there, and I have a lot of. In that time that I'm sitting and learning, I'm usually in my Beis Medrash from 9 o'clock at night with a chavrusa where I learn Shulchan Aruch and Halacha, whatever. I have a koil erev over there, Halacha koil, and then I just continue until about 2 o'clock in the morning. So sometimes at those times, people come over to me. So, and if I'm in the middle of, like, if I'm between two chavrusas, so then that's the time for people to talk to me and to ask cases or whatever, or I just give them my telephone number and they call me a day later. But that's where people know they could find me every day. So this Baal Tshuva came over to me and he told me that he was by a few families in Bnei Brak with his kids and with his wife that wasn't yet from, and he told me that, it's just too dry. The Rosh Hashanah was all dried up, dried fruits. He felt like it was like Tu B'Shvat in elementary school. So, he wanted to make it a little bit more flavorful, a little bit more interesting. He said, maybe I'll try a Chassidish Rosh Hashanah. So I told him, okay, so we'll take, we'll substitute the Yiddish with a Vit, and I'll try to make it interesting for you guys. So they came to our Suda and my Talmidim come, my Chassidim come on Rosh Hashanah to my house. I don't do it in Shul because it's with my kids. It's a family setting, and Rosh Hashanah is really a great time to just show the beauty of Yiddishkeit, because from one side, it's a day of din, it's a day of judgment. And everyone that knows that he has a big court case, so he gets nervous. So if somebody knows what's going on in Shemayim, so he also gets nervous. But at the same time, Chazal tell us that Lechu, Ichlu Mashmanim, Ushtu Mamtakim, you should eat good meat, you should drink good wine, and you should be happy. Ki Chedvus Hashem hi ma'uschem, Hashem is giving you now an opportunity to get to Him and to shake the Kisa HaKavod, to shake Kaviyachol. We can't say Hashem's chair because there's no chair over there, but that's the figure of speech. And to tell Hashem, please give us a good year, and Hashem hears us that on that day more than any day in the whole entire year. So that's a very happy thing for us. So that's why we sing happy nigunim, we sing happy songs, and we're very happy with this opportunity to make a better year for us and for the whole Jewish people and the whole world. So I just focus on the fruits. And what is the idea of the fruits? The fruits, just like the Arizal says in Priyat Chaim on Tu B'Shvat, they have a shell, and then they have a fruit inside. Everything in this world has a klipa, a shell. All of the things that are negative, all of the negative energies that are going on in the world, all of these are a type of shell. Now, you never see a person filling his mouth with nutshells. What does a person do with a nut, with a fruit? He peels it, he cracks the shell, and he eats the fruit inside. And that's really the whole purpose of a Jew, the whole year, to see where he has a shell that he has to crack, something that is negative, a negative influence that he has to stay away from, so that he could get to the fruit, which is the Torah. Because the Torah cannot be eaten together with the shells. And that's all the mitzvahs. That's a mitzvah, lo yisaseh, don't do this. And that's a mitzvah, said, please do that. Don't do this is peeling the shell and throwing it on the side. And then we have to we have to talk in learning about the muktzah, b'frat Yom Tov, where muktzah is more chomer than Shabbos. And then we're talking about the fruit. The fruit is something beautiful in and of itself. When we say a bracha on the fruit, when we use the fruit. With the Hilchas Muktzah, we're able to, with the telling what we're not supposed to do, so learning the halachas of that, then we're taking out the kedusha, the kaviyachol, the soul that is in those shells, because everything in this world has a soul. We're taking it, we're bringing it back to Hashem. And by saying a bracha and eating the fruit, we're bringing the fruit back to Hashem. But if we're going to be eating the shells, then we're not going to be doing anything positive with the spirituality that is hidden inside of the shells, which that is our purpose, to take out and to derive and to bring into our neshama like a magnet. We're just putting them even lower down if we're doing things that we're not supposed to do. So we're taking that kedusha and we're sinking it deeper and deeper into that mud that Hashem destined for us to take the kedusha out of the mud. Instead of doing that, we're putting the kedusha in the mud even more. So we have to focus on what we're doing with our neshama. And I think that that's something that if it's explained correctly, even kids understand. We're eating the fruits, we're putting the shells aside, and that's why we say Shechiyanu. That's why we say that we're privileged to come to this time to understand what good is and what not good is, and to emphasize the good, to emphasize the fruit, because nobody talks about the shells. The shells are just on the table. We put them aside. But then we talk about the fruit and the maila, the beauty of the peiros of Eretz Yisrael, and we eat these fruits. For sure, if there's master and shumas, whatever, a good hechsher we have to have on the peiros of Eretz Yisrael, because there's a lot of mitzvahs involved. And we tell the kids that these fruits, these are our maisim, like Rashi says in Parshas Noach, in Parshas Toldos, Iker Todosayim Shem Tzadikim Masayim Atoivim. The Iker, the main point of a tzaddik is the maisim that he does, and those are his fruits, those are his peiros. So we want to have good peiros, sweet peiros, just like we're eating now on Rosh Hashanah a whole year. So how could we achieve that? By staying away from not good things and by emphasizing and doing good things.
Powerful.
And that's Chazaq, we need
Chazaq, we need Chazaq 100%, Rabbi. And we have a minhag, we have a custom on Torah Talks, which is a final message for our broader audience. So many beautiful gems we've had throughout.
So I would like to turn here to all of the boys and girls that are going through a similar situation where they want to grow in their spirituality and their Yiddishkeit, and their parents just don't understand them. I know your parents don't understand you, but just be patient, respect them, love them. And on the same time, you should know that the Torah entitles you to keep the entire Torah. Anything that's at least a halacha. You have to know exactly what's halacha and what's a minig and what's a chumrah. Not to do things that are more than halacha, but at least what the halacha says you could for sure stand for yourself, even in your parents' house, even at a young age. And don't give up. Be consistent and keep on praying to Hashem, and pray for your parents too. And you'll see that Hashem has beautiful ways of making things turn around, and everything that you're going to achieve in your life. I'll just say it like from the beginning. The Tikkun Zohar says, we learn here in Chodesh Elul Tikkun Zohar. So he says in Aramaic, I'll just say for the Kedusha of the words, Leis Nahira Elahu Denufik Migoy Chashoicha. There's no chance of getting to light if it doesn't come out of a certain type of darkness. The only real light that comes into the world is something that comes out of a dark place. Just like Avraham Avinu came out of Terach and Bnei Yisrael came out of Mitzrayim. So we also have our darkness in our lives, but that's all just a way for Hashem. That's the way of Hashem to show us how beautiful the light is, and that will give us the opportunity to really appreciate the light when it comes.
Amen. Chazaq Baruch Yeshakach. Very inspiring, very, very nice.
And keep asking for Mashiach and for the Geula of Klal Yisrael.
Amen. Amen. We all be zochet to see the Geula Shlema, the complete redemption. It should come berachamim. It should come in Rabbi Bein Espinler days. Amen. Yishkach for another Chazaq Torah Talks Tuesday nights 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Chazaq.org/live. CHAZAQ.org. Special thank you to our friends at Daily Giving. $1 a day goes a very far way. To all the different platforms that host Chazaq Torah Talks. Special thank you to you, with the emphasis to Torah Anytime, our friends, and Natan Behar behind the camera. Thank you very much, the entire Chazaq team. Always looking to do more. Get involved with the Chazaq Revolution. CHAZAQ.org. Join us, spread the word, and until next time. B'ezrat Hashem. Shkach, beautiful. Very inspiring.